What's up, Blockheads? Today we are working on the Harley-Davidson Iron 883, my OG Iron 883. And I'm gonna be taking you guys through installing some forward controls. If you guys have an Iron 883 or a Sportster in general, they come with mid controls on some of the models. The downside to mid controls is that whenever you sit on it, depending on your height, it does feel a little cramped up. I'm 5'10", basically my legs set right there. So like that. Forward controls are gonna set more here, so it gives you a little bit of extension for your leg. That's what we're gonna be doing today, installing some forward controls on this thing. Hope you guys are able to follow along if you're considering doing this modification. Just as a heads up, I bought this from Harley-Davidson, so there's a lot of knockoffs, like a lot of forward control options on the market that are not Harley-Davidson. With your foot controls, it's a really important part of your bike. The weight of you, if you stand up or, if you're pushing against them, is on them. And so if they're made with metal that isn't strong, I've heard stories and I've read reviews where they snap off. Now, if you're going down the road, you're trying to stand or like lift up because of a pothole or railroad tracks or whatever it may be, and they snap off, like that's not gonna put you in a good situation. So I would recommend going with, OEM. So the part number for the OEM ones, they're gonna vary, but this says it fits 06 to 13 XL models. So I have a 2013 Iron 883, and the part number is 33397-07A. If you don't have this model, if you have a different year, go to Harley-Davidson, go to the parts counter, tell them what you're looking for, and they'll be able to sort you out. So let's get this thing open, see what it looks like on the inside. Instructions. Hardware. Some more hardware. I'll see it. All right, so this stuff is all nicely wrapped. Let's go ahead and get it all unwrapped so we can see what we're working with. All right, here's what we've got. Brake, foot controls, extensions. This is for the either brake line. Yeah, it should be for the brake. This should be for the shifter. Coupler for the shifter. A couple of the control extensions, hardware, and then some directions. There you go, Sportster forward control kits. That's a diagram of how they're all put together. That's it. So in order to get the new ones on, we have to get the old ones off. This side here is gonna be relatively easy. Unfortunately, this side over here is not going to be quite as easy because the bracketry for some of the controls is behind the exhaust, meaning we have to take off the exhaust. If you have an exhaust that doesn't get in the way here, awesome, props to you and your exhaust. Unfortunately, I do have an exhaust that gets in the way. I'm gonna be replacing this exhaust though, so it's a good excuse to go ahead and remove it, I guess. Take off the heat shields, remove the exhaust, unbolt it from the bracket, and then I'm gonna be taking the bracket off as well. I guess we'll do all that. Ugh, that makes it a much longer job. So on this side, we're gonna start off by removing the foot peg and the shifter peg, and then we'll work our way back, removing the shifter linkage and the foot peg bracket. You're gonna wanna start off by removing this retaining ring right here. Once you have that retaining ring removed, you should be able to push this bolt through, pull this out. One of these friction washers will fall out as well. Set that all to the side, save it for later. Let's go ahead and start working down here on the bottom of the bracket. You've got 2 hex bolts that are holding that support on, 5/16. All right, there we go. Got that mount point off as well as the hardware. We're gonna be taking this shifter peg off. These ones here are 1/4 inch. Everything is off on this side in terms of controls. Very easy stuff on this side. On the other side, not as much. Removing this retaining ring right here. So this is where it starts to get tricky because we've got to basically get the controls off. In order to do that, we're working around the exhaust. We've got to get this bolt out, but once we get that bolt out, we've got to get the brake linkage off, which is once again behind the exhaust. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off the heat shields with the hose clamps here, here, and here. Same on the front. Then I'm gonna loosen it from the bracket. Then I'm gonna loosen it from the heads via the flange nuts on front and rear, which removing the heat shields will give me easier access to getting those. Then I have to remove the O2 sensors, and then it should come off, hopefully. We got the exhaust off, so we are now ready to start assembling the forward controls and putting them on the bike. First things first, I know where these plugs go. They go in the old spots, so go ahead and take these plugs and you can put them where the old bolt holes were, here and here. Go to your home, plug. All right, there you go, plugged. Let's do the same on the other side. Installing the brake side, at the lower front of the right frame down tube, you want to remove the 2 screws securing the J-clip to the frame. It says to basically save the J-clip, but you can discard the screws. It's a J-clip. So next, we're going to take the brake rod linkage and install it into the brake pedal, which is these connections here. That requires a Torx bit. It does already have Loctite on it, so I'm just going to grab that Torx bit. That is going to be a T27. Go ahead and start threading it to get it started. And it says to tighten it to 84 to 144 inch-pounds. So get the torque wrench and be sure to tighten that down to that proper torque spec. There you go. Next, you want to install the brake pedal here onto the footrest mount clevis. So yeah, you're going to take the footrest mount here, right, run it through the brake, and then you're going to install it to the part that actually mounts to the bike, like that. And then on this side, you will see there's a little piece sticking out. And that piece you need to install one of the retaining rings, just that. You are going to need snap ring pliers for that. All right. There you go. Ring installed. But after you've got that assembled, you want to take one of the bolts that they provided and you're going to put it through the hole on this side. You want to make sure that this all lines up and slowly start to thread in. That says you want to tighten that one down to 18 to 22 foot-pounds. Bust out your torque wrench, tighten it down to torque spec. So we basically have the brake side assembly set up. We've got everything torqued down to spec from the Torx bolt here that actually goes into the brake for the brake linkage. And then we've got this bolt here basically holding what they call the foot peg clevis in place, as well as the retaining ring. So now we're ready to basically put it on the bike. So we're gonna take it and we're gonna line up these 2 holes with those 2 holes with the J-clip. And I'm gonna grab the bolts, which are these ones here, 2 of those bolts. And these ones actually don't have Loctite on them, so I'm gonna grab some Loctite too, just in case. Put some Loctite on these bolts. We're gonna hold the assembly up to where it needs to mount. So it's just hand tight for now because we want to make sure everything lines up. So you want to make sure that brake linkage is, the brake is up, right? So that you can pull the linkage and line it up here. So that's what it should look like. And we're gonna go ahead and start threading this in. Now this one already has Loctite on it. So after we have confirmed that everything lines up correctly, now we can go ahead and tighten down. So for the bolts here, it says tighten the bracket to 45 to 50 foot-pounds. Got a torque wrench set to that. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten to that. And for the rear brake linkage, we want to tighten this one to the master cylinder bell crank from 120 to 180 inch-pounds. I've gone ahead and set it kind of in the middle, right about 150. Done. At this point, we just need to mount the foot peg back in and it'll set just like that. We've actually got some new hardware. So I'm gonna brush this off and then we'll put the new hardware on. With the foot peg, you've got the actual foot peg piece, and then we're going to have a spring washer, and then you've also got the clevis pin that goes through it. Harley-Davidson sends you these retaining rings, but these, I absolutely do not like them because for some reason, Harley has decided to go smaller with their holes, so you actually need a specialty tool for those. Or if you check the link in the description down below, you can buy these ones, which are for normal snap ring pliers. So these will fit, which makes the job much easier. So yeah, we're gonna take the foot peg, the spring washer, the clevis pin, and a retaining ring, and that's gonna be our setup. All right, so you wanna put spring washer. That basically adds friction. Wedge that in. You're gonna take the clevis pin. Then you're gonna take the retaining ring, put it on your snap ring pliers, like so, and put it over the clevis pin. I'm gonna tighten it up just for good measure. There you go, your right side is done. If you wanna install the peg scraper things that warn you, if you're leaning too far, obviously feel free to go ahead and install those, but otherwise, that is the right side. So the left side, or the shifter side, is how we're gonna have it set up. Mounting bracket that mounts to the bike. You got the actual part shifter peg goes onto here. You got the large clevis. Then we're gonna line up the bolt holes as we did last time around. Grab one of the bolts, and we're gonna thread that through from the other side. So now we're gonna get the retaining ring. You wanna put the retaining ring on the end of the large clevis. All right, there you go. Next part, we're gonna take the shift link arm that came with the kit, so this piece here, and you're gonna wanna point it straight down on the shift shaft. That's fun to say, shift shaft. So straight down, just like that. And then you're gonna take the screw, install it into the top of that, and you're gonna tighten that down to 96 to 156 inch-pounds. Yep, this one here. So it says 96 to 156 inch-pounds. I just put it kind of in the middle-ish at like 120. There you go. Next, we're gonna take the two bolts out of the frame here. Now we're gonna take the assembly that we have for the left side. I've got the two bolts that are gonna go into the frame. Put a couple drips of Loctite. Full good measure. And line it up and thread them on. I'm just hand tightening for the time being because we want to make sure everything lines up, which it does seem to. Same torque spec as the other side, 45 to 50 foot-pounds. Whenever you guys are installing these, just to note, the bolt that goes on the back one is a little bit shorter than the bolt that goes on the front one. So just a heads up, there's more depth on the front piece where the linkage connects to than on the back piece. So you guys learned from my mistake there. I actually took the shift linkage and I mounted it on the wrong side, so it's supposed to be on the front side here. You actually don't have to do that until this point in the video. Put that on, do a little drip of Loctite, tighten it down, and then tighten it on the back. Take the bolt for the back side of the shift linkage, a little dab of Loctite, line that up. Torque spec on these two bolts is 120 to 180 inch-pounds. I'm setting it right at about 140. So the last bit to do on this side would be installing the foot peg. So you're gonna take the foot peg and the spring washer. So flat side goes in. And you take the clevis pin, run it through. And take the retaining ring, some snap ring pliers, and put it on the bottom. After that, last thing you have is the shifter peg. Add a little drip of Loctite to that. It's a big drip. And thread on using the previous hardware. All right, there you go. Good to go on this side. If you want to adjust the angle of this, you can actually adjust that by undoing the nuts and bolts right here, making that go forward or back, and then be sure to relock the nuts. But there you go. That is it. That is how you install forward controls on the Sportster. And that makes for a much better ride if you're a taller rider. I'm 5'10", and forward controls on this bike make an absolute world of difference. I rode it for a long time being that height, and it was fine, but I did want forwards on it because it just kind of left me like feeling cramped up after certain rides and stuff like that. So if you guys are interested in any of the parts, any of the tools that I used, I will be sure to drop links to all of it down in the description below. If you guys have any questions, be sure to drop them down in the comments as well, and I will answer to the best of my knowledge. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it was insightful. If you guys did enjoy it, if it was useful to you, be sure to hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button as well. Hit that bell icon so it sends you notifications of future uploads and activity. And until next time, you guys, ride safe out there. Stay vigilant. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.